name is Teresita Blanco, the Artsy sister, and we're continuing with Life Makeover. Alright, so that's the good sound test.
Y después el micrófono que está conectado al teléfono. Eso es un poquito más complejo.
The weekend rolled around and as routine I went to endpoint to ready to assist in the research of psychic powers. After the previous visit I submitted my way to the CEO's office only to find Gabriel absent. Please wait here, Mr. Gabriel said a minute and should be here in about 30 minutes. After staring at the aquarium for a while, I decided to give some time elsewhere until Gabriel's return. March will come back later and let Gabriel shoot me a message when he's finishing with the meeting. I wandered away from endpoint and soon found myself in a nearby park. What a gorgeous day, and so many people are there taking a stroll, and as I was enjoying the peaceful moment, something darted towards me from around the corner of the sidewalk. Woof, woof. Losing my balance, I stumbled and fell to the ground, and as fear shut my eyes, my body was met by a furry hug. I turned out to be a golden retriever wearing a harness, and she then started licking my cheek. Oh, it took a stop it, and what's your honor, and how the hell did you? I reached out to hold her eager head, and she was about to examine the wood under her harness. Hey Lucy, let her go. A woman hurried over and seeing me sitting on the ground, she pulled me up apologetically. I'm sorry, Lucy didn't hear you, did she? And she said that she tied Lucy to a lamppost and went to the restaurant, and when she returned, Lucy was nowhere to be seen. Lucy, the golden retriever in question, lowered her head and apparently guilt after getting scolded. It's okay, Anna. Her Lucy probably just wanted to have some fun on her own, right? Upon hearing her name, Lucy's eyes lit up as she raised her head and lowered her tail under her owner's stern gaze. And I was amused by her lovely reactions and decided to commemorate this encounter. And after getting the honest approval, I held on to the livestock who started wagging her tail once again. Lucy, come here for a photo and a pose on a banner comment, and you'll be a big hit, huh? And out of nowhere, waiting, I interfered the popping of my phone and blurring the picture of me and Lucy. But before I could get a good look, Gabriel's contact info flashed on the screen, cutting off my thoughts. The meeting stunned. Shooting back at a quick got it, I said goodbye to Lucy and her owner and headed back to endpoint. Sir, you have a visitor. Before Miles could finish saying my name, Gabriel leaned against his desk and stood up and locked eyes with me. Despite the recent meeting, Gabriel looked fresh as a daisy and greeted me with a big smile. What's got you so cheerful? And then they had a breakthrough in the lab. Gabriel shook his head and said that he didn't need any research help today, which left me curious. Endpoint is undertaking a promising project and I want you to see it first. Intrigued by his introduction, I waited for him to spill the details as Gabriel rushed for the door. Let's keep in talk and see it in action. Follow me. And with the officer singing up and I received a mission from Monroe. Alright, time to do the wardrobe change. After being given Artsy, we went to the floors of Endpoint and given a march ahead while giving me a brief rundown of the project. He told me how Endpoint set up a new lab specifically for the project and brought up a new talent. As Gava had to his step, he stopped in front of the closed lab. Well, she's an admirable research partner, and Gava rarely spoke so highly of someone, which sparked my curiosity. The lab door slid open, revealing a bunch of researchers focusing on the workstation and Gava introducing me to each other, and after politely exchanging, he started to scan the room. As Gava reached at the door, a silver female voice rang from the outside the door. Sorry, Mr. Gava, we're a bit late. Oh, it's you guys. I squinted and saw the unexpected door. It was a lady and her dog had bumped into it earlier in the park. Lucy barked at me excitedly, and her owner also looked pleasantly surprised. Do you know each other? Gava raised an eyebrow, clearly intrigued, and then I recounted my encounter in the park. Glad to officially meet you, I'm Yvette. Lucy said obediently by Yvette's side, waving her jaw at me and saying hello. Nice to meet you and Lucy, and I'm Artsy's sister, and I hope you don't mind the intrusion. Gava briefly explained the purpose of our visit. Yvette nodded in understanding before turning to Lucy. Maybe I should reintroduce her. This is Lucy, my most important partner. And as I pondered the introduction, Lucy leaped onto the desk at her cue and pressed a button on the console. All of a sudden, the room was filled with holographic projections on Lucy on different missions, and in the footage she searched for survivors, provided therapy, and followed instructions in tracking tasks. It is also the finest achievement of our project. Here we focus on AI-powered working dogs, and right now we can only demonstrate some of the functions. But I believe this technology will be adopted universally in scenarios where working dogs can play a role. And seeing my surprised expression, Yvette smiled while she elaborated on the project. Today we're working on AI-powered working dogs, and like Army does search and rescue dogs and guide dogs. And one success for the research was to slash the cost of training dogs and also provide new training methods. Endpoint and introducing pet AI technology powered by neural signal processing in the early days que added. Yvette's project is to enhance this technology to better serve society. And this is a program that truly reflects Endpoint's founding principle. You can start, if you start, adding AI to dogs, in theory, you can also, make humans smarter. Whatever. But you first gotta, start with animals before moving to human testing. Gava didn't hold back his praise for Yvette and had a full confidence in the project's prospect. His excitement rubbed off on me, and as I tagged along him and Yvette to learn more details. Yvette's enthusiastic introduction showed me the dedication she and her project team put in. Lucy is like a real child nurtured by love and effort, and I ponder how she will become in the future. After a busy moment, Gava suggested that we all head to a nearby restaurant for dinner. It's getting chilly, and you should grab something warmer before heading out. Wanna change into something lovely and sweet right now? After dinner, as the night deepened, the party staff left the restaurant and then offered to escort Yvette and me home. Mr. Guevara insisted, would you mind living without me? I'd like to swim by the lab. Also, could you grant me higher permission so that I can continue my work later? Yvette, having caught my surprise sneeze, I wanted a loose strand of hair behind her ear. I hope to launch the project as soon as possible, having organized Lucy's data from today's experiment. Alright, I'll have Mark grant you the permissions. Take care. After thanking Guevara, Yvette got up and left. Stop, let's roll. The restaurant wasn't far from my place, and on my suggestion, Guevara and I walked down the nighttime streets. Now I get what you mean by an admirable research partner. Yvette's dedication to the project is truly admirable. Do you feel the same? Definitely, people with passion for what they do always stand out. Guevara nodded in agreement and then looked up into the sky, seemingly lost in the distant memories. I always thought that AI will revolutionize human society, and many researchers, including my mentors and friends, are exploring the possibilities of humanity's future. I'm glad Guevara was drawn to the sparkle in his eye. I started Endpoint partly because I didn't want to pursue my ideals and my father's company. But when I found partners who share the same goals and working tirelessly, I realized it is more than just that. Guevara already talked about his early days as an entrepreneur, and I slowed my pace and gazed at him. To gain a foothold, we continued to bring in new ideas and products, but later, with a long pause, Guevara seemed to be saddened by the past events. It's something he didn't want to talk about. So what happened later? I was curious about what made Guevara hesitate, but before I knew it, we had arrived at my place. I said goodbye to Guevara and quickly freshened up, and Guevara's passionate recounting of his visions lingered in my mind. And I was stopped by Yvette's enthusiasm presentation about the project and all of the conveniences he promised. Even as a bedtime approached, I was still excited by the future revolution they would bring. I had to rest now. Let's change into fresh and homey. As the weekend approaching came to an end, I found myself back in the busy routine. Phew, that should do it. And looking at the nearly completed draft, I let out a sigh of relief instead of checking my social media feed. I had an important letter from the dark cause trending list caught my eye. Shocking, Empo's latest project is leaked. And I immediately clicked on the trending news article and skimmed through the content. The new project aims to develop AI-powered working notes based on the Empo's existing paid AI technology. And my worst fear for confirming what shocked me wasn't just the leak of Yvette's confidential project, but also how the project's goals were intentionally distorted, which stirred controversy. Endpoint must acknowledge the contribution of working dogs and respect their status. Social service is all about profit. Check out the hidden agenda behind Endpoint's new project. Social and ethical reporting and how could they make things up like that? The project never intended to squeeze out the living space of working dogs or to make a huge profit from it. And as I clenched my teeth in frustration, a dark comment snapped my attention. This reminded me of the previous spy case. A spy case sounds familiar. And I clicked into the comments and noticed that many people agree, and that some even dropped links to the spy case. And my detective instinct now made to click the links and skim through the contents. It was a strange corporate espionage case that had happened right after Endpoint got off the ground. And by then, Endpoint barely managed to gain a foothold and had to face R&D leads and smears by business rivals. The case was concluded with the arrest of Lee and special sent to Ashley, a private detective, for help. And in a flash, memories of Endpoint's spy case came flooding back. Yeah, I remember seeing the case while organizing Ashley's case file, and it was her first case for an Endpoint. And I put out the record for keeping an eye on the comments. And more folks have become convinced that this case is just a shady corporate espionage. And so now the speculation got official value. The Endpoint called for an urgent press briefing. The data leak was orchestrated by corporate spy, and Endpoint had formally requested the police to step in. The leak has a tremendous impact, and Endpoint pledges to uphold the corporate accountable. And please take comment, wait for results, and do not buy into the claims of the irresponsible media outlets. And Gabriel Sevius with his wearing is hard to consider in a stark contrast to his confidence last week. Everyone, like everyone else, I'm hoping that this mess gets sorted out soon. Hearing Gabriel's trained voice and recalling what I read in Ashley's notes earlier, and I felt a pang of worry and rushed to Endpoint with bated breath. Chasing to count and confident we're going to get time to change the wardrobe. and gave us up a fan and gazing at the aquarium, and it seemed that he had just done with a press conference. When he turned back at the sound of my footsteps, his eyes felt weariness I couldn't ignore. You don't look surprised. I just him by the aquarium where the shows of fish swam blithely before us. I knew you'd come. Your voice was heavy with weariness and disappointment, and after a moment's hesitation, I decided to cut the chase and ask a question that lingered in my mind. Are you feeling down because of what happened is similar to the spy case Ashley handled? Gerald, who seemed taken aback by my bluntness, paused for a moment. So you know about the case, and looks like you did some digging. I went through the case for my sister, and in that case, she cried. It was also your first team up, right? You actually did a perfect job and found the truth that I overlooked. Do you mean the reason why the consultant betrayed you? Gerald's calm expression wavered for a moment, but he nodded anyway. I should not mention that Lee was one of the founding members of Endpoint, and later, however, Endpoint favored the tech department, and Gerald vetoed his monopolistic approach. And he felt worse and thought Gerald was sabotaging his bright career. And though he had a hunch that Lee was up to something he didn't know that he foresee the subsequent disaster. And I always brushed off emotional stuff, and that's what your words hit me when we first met. And under Gerald's game, memories of our initial confrontation flooded back. And I remember you saying something like being emotional would only waste our time. I mimicked Gerald's icy tone, to which he shrugged. I did see that back then, and since I met you, I changed, and you made a difference in people's lives and found answers into emotions. But this time it's different. So you already know who the spy is, right? Gerald nodded heavily, and uttered the name I at least wanted to hear. It's Yvette. I respected and trusted her as a scientist and a friend, but now it seems my judgment of people hasn't improved at all. Gerald sighed and fell into a silence, and leaving me at a loss for comforting words. Yvette's passionate demonstration was to freshen mine, and I couldn't believe that someone so dedicated was a spy. And amidst the stifling silence, the office screen suddenly lit up, and it was a video call from Yvette. And I glanced at Gerald, and he told me that he needed some time and ran to the car, which was unusual for him. And being let down by a trusted partner for a second time must really hit him hard. And the unanswerable call faded into silence, and after a bit, Yvette's video message was played on the screen. Mr. Gerald, sorry to bother you, and I hope the investigation is going well, and I fully cooperate with any investigation, and please believe I'll never do anything to jeopardize the project. Yvette's words were genuine, and she knew fully well that as the project's only new recruit, she was the #1 suspect. Could you spare a moment to adjust Lucy's auto wake-up, and I don't want her to be left all alone. As the message concluded, the room lapsed back into silence, and with her message, I found it even harder to believe in who still cared about Lucy could be the culprit. And Gerald stayed silent, and I couldn't tell what his feelings was, and for a moment the only sound in the room was the fish swimming. Out of nowhere, a mind roll jumped up, but it didn't break the heavy silence. Time to do a wardrobe change. It's a fashion game. Taking a deep breath, I decided to break the suffocating silence. Gilbert, you said that Gilbert was a spy. Do you have any evidence? The company pulled out the last surveillance footage. Take a look. Gilbert tapped on the keyboard and quickly brought up yesterday's surveillance video. Yvette and Lucy appeared on the screen and they entered the lab together. It is from earlier in this morning. The video was at 1:20 a.m. and an hour later, the project details were leaked on the internet. And about 10 minutes after entering the lab, Yvette left alone holding a small object. The footage was crystal clear and the time was a massive leak, but something fell off. Strange, everyone should know about the surveillance camera, especially in Yvette's project later. Though the more I thought about it, the more suspicious it seemed. Yvette could have easily avoided the camera. Given who usually quite sharp, she had noticed an anomaly, but no. Faced with yet another betrayal by a colleague, Gerard was engulfed in self-doubt, and I recall the scene he hesitated and mentioned, and could it have been about the spy case that's been haunting him. Right now, the most important thing was to get Gerard back on the case and crack him. Gerard, you told me that my worst move you when we first met, right? Gerard gave me a cryptic glance and nodded. Yes. Listen, you have to be honest to have a real conversation. And I can sense Yvette's passion and everything she does is for the project. And you and Endpoint have always had her back, right? And she must have felt your sincerity. And you're working to the same goal and to get this project out there and to help more people. And I recall the starry night when Gerard passionately shared his commitment to the research and technology. This time, let me help you crack the case. Gerard's eyes flickered, and after a moment's gaze, they nodded in agreement. When my assistant we returned to the lab, and Lucy had lay quietly in her corner bed, and it seemed that the dog was switched to sleep mode. She was equipped with real-time recording functionality and could capture her surroundings. And as Gerard twinkled in with the lab equipment, Lucy awoke and barked at us enthusiastically. But as it was an inside job, there was little we could find. And I leaned in to check, and sure enough, last night's recordings were blank. Did the corporate shut down Lucy's program? Unable to find any clue from Lucy's records, we both fell silent in front of all of the lab documents. Something's off. What did I miss? As I mulled over the case, Lucy couldn't hold back the excitement and wagged her tail as she nuzzled between us. Sweetheart, can you give us a moment? And at my request, Lucy whimpered and retracted her paws from my legs. Do you need to put her into sleep mode for now? And I shook my head. Lucy, who was unaware of my trouble, somehow eased the tension in the room. And I revised the surveillance footage, hoping then to find a clue. Suddenly, a communication device started ringing, which was rendered especially loud in the hollow room. That's the company's internal communicator. Just a moment, let me. Before Gerard could finish the sentence, Lucy brought a cue was to play and pounce at him. Hey, Gerard, watch out, Lucy. And my warning was cut short by a distortion in the sound. Gerard held the buzzing communicator in one hand and restrained Lucy's head with the other and frozen in place. The ringing sounded distorted as if disrupted by some sort of radio wave. Ringtone, radio interference, that's it. Gerard, do you know if Lucy has any defects during the development stage? Gerard immediately caught on and pulled out the lab records on the screen. And as Gerard searched through the records, I recounted the incident interference waves in the park. Found that the canine body continued to emit interference waves currently under repair. And can you dig out surveillance footage of Yvette and Lucy entering the lab together from before? And give us an access the archive surveillance video for comparison. Got it. Every time Lucy pops out, the footage gets glitchy. Check this out. And I pointed out this auto waving distortions on the hinge, and my conclusion was given an assignment. This proves that the surveillance was fake. Give us down for a moment and then let out a wry smile. Can't believe I made such an obvious flaw. Knowing that he was saddened by the passage, I offered a comforting pat on his shoulder. Now let's sniff out the real spy for Yvette and for the project. Also, they did a deep fake with the chick, but in order to blame her for everything. But the dogs had structure interference proof that she was innocent and whatever. Let's go back and know just what to do. Together we headed back to the office and started looking to those with access to the surveillance footage. And some digging would narrow down the suspicious to Sean, the most senior member of the project team. Since as his sister, I told him to come back to the office. And the message and ground project to the hall, and the employees were waiting for the results at home. And I nodded and got a new mission from Myra. Time to change office. About 30 minutes later, Sean finally showed up. And I barely remember him from our tour there when he temporarily filled in for Yvette. But soon after, our attention was drawn to Yvette and Lucy, and I suddenly sized the man in front of me, trying to gauge if he was the spy we were looking for. Sean, care to explain why you switched the surveillance to frame Yvette? Give a cutting with a commanding tone, leaving no room for any retort. What's this about, Geralt? Is that why you called me here? Seeing his reaction, I quickly said it with Geralt, hoping to provoke a response. Quit, we have proof of you tampering with the surveillance. Do you really think you could get away with it at that point? Glancing back and forth between me and Geralt, seemed realized that he got caught and confessed right away. Yeah, I leaked the project and I falsified the surveillance video and destroyed the project's reputation. I was about to unleash my fear without audacity, but the spy shifted the blame to Geralt. But this is all of you, Geralt. Is a pet AI project really worth all this trouble? It could bring a huge benefit to society. And say whatever you want, it's still a niche product with no real future. And I have been busting my hump for an endpoint for many years, and how could you send me to assist a new recruit? And as I recall that I last performance I saw in Chance Restaurant during a background check, it all clicked. So you're too proud to work for Yvette. Yvette's voice dripped with a restrained anger, but Sean remained unfazed. Yeah, and why would you value Yvette more than us veterans? Yvette sneered at Sean and shattered his fantasies with no mercy. Endpoint values all talents, but people with no commitment or competence like you are not needed by the project or Endpoint. The legal document at Endpoint will talk to you about the rest. And as Kira promised, Endpoint followed the legal procedures and held Sean accountable for his action. Sean was taken into custody by the police, which brought the case to a close. And as he got escorted away, Sean still couldn't believe his arrest and kept shouting about his contributions. Geralt, on the other hand, paid him no attention and discussed the following procedures with the police. What's your plan now? I turned to Geralt, who was still rubbing his temple with clear exhaustion. Geralt paused for a moment and decided to explain everything to Yvette and apologize on behalf of Endpoint. In this turmoil, Yvette unjustly suspected and framed what was clearly one of the victims. I'll let her decide whether she wants to stay on the project. And despite he had regard for the project, Geralt was willing to offer Yvette a choice at this critical moment. And you were, but if Yvette leaves, what about the project? She poured her soul into this project, and we had no right to force her to stay. Once again, assessing Geralt the same respect and passion for the vision that Yvette held. She agreed to stay if she feels your sincerity. Trust me. Hi, Fernando Blanco. Yvette hesitated as she struggled with irresolution before letting out a deep sigh. Seeing his hesitation, I nodded friendly to offer him support. Feel finally, and what a busy day, and let's check out the latest fashion trend. Alright, let's change your outfit yet again. The corporate espionage case at endpoint ended with Chan's arrest, but the online discussion and public outcry were far from over. The public opinion wasn't entirely one-sided, and many were still questioning the project. Endpoint quickly responded to that with Yvette as a spokesperson. So are you suggesting Yvette should make the public statement on behalf of the project? As expected, Yvette readily chose to stay on the project. While Gavran, the PR department tried to manage the online discussion and suggested putting Yvette in charge, sensing hesitation from his question and firmly nodded. If you want to change the public perception, it is best to have someone involved with the project speak out. And after a moment's hesitation, Gabriel was convinced as I emphasized why Yvette was the right choice. Do you remember the first time I visited the project? Yes. Her introduction convinced me that this is a project that could truly contribute to humanity's future. And she's the best spokesperson and the one who could truly represent its goals and endpoint sincerity. Given nodded thoughtfully and ultimately agreed with my proposal. So it's all about sincerity. That's right. My enthusiastic response made Gerald chuckle. As his smile finally returned, I felt a weight lift from my shoulder. Yvette told the project's vision to the camera, our sincerity and patiently addressed all misconceptions. Her sincere words won over the public, which shattered most of the biases and helped endpoint gain more trust. And Yvette's public appearance, together with the effort from the PR department, will soon clear out the aftermath. She's a great scene that will resolve. And as just late anyone of mine will send me a mission from simple as this, I tend to change outfit. With a busy workday finally over, it was time for a relaxing weekend. And as expected, Kiva's invitation came as I headed back to Endpoint. And as I arrived at the company center, however, two familiar figures caught my eyes. Yvette, Lucy, what are you doing here? Upon hearing my call, Lucy dashed towards me, wagging her tail, and Yvette looked surprised too and rushed back after pulling Lucy back. It's great to see you again too, Miss Artsy, sister, and she shook hands with Simon and Lucy also joining a couple of barks. The enthusiasm of the two bewildered me, but I managed to smile politely without revealing my confusion. I'm glad to see both of you can finally help you guys with anything. Thanks to you so much for sticking with the investigation and for recommending me to speak out. And I was a bit surprised that she explained and gave I told her everything and even praised me in front of the team. I didn't expect you to be such a good detective, Mr. Guerra said. You're the hero of the project. Lucy and I owe the big time for the clearing our name. Yvette's heartfelt praise made me blush. Ah, that's nothing. Oh, by the way, I'll never finish taking that photo with Lucy. Embarrassed by her compliments, I swiftly changed the topic and invited her to join us for the photo. This time without any signal interference, the three of us managed to snap a perfect picture. And as I put it on my phone, someone unexpectedly approached her. Gera, what brought you here? It's lunch break and I figured you'll be around. Gera nodded towards Yvette with a subtle hint from me and greeted Lucy as well. Great job, Yvette and Lucy. Lucy let out a cheerful bark and seemed pleased at the CEO's acknowledgement. Thank you, Mr. Guerra, and well, I think it's time for a break. See you later. Yvette said goodbye to us in a hurry while Guerra raised an eyebrow and glanced at me. This is cafe nearby. They just introduced a new ice cream. Want to check it out? I agreed right away, and soon we were sitting in the cafe close to the office. And coincidentally, there were folks discussing the project's impact with great anticipation. That's great, sounds like things have wrapped up nicely, and Guerra dropped on the menu and turned to me with seriousness. We managed to keep the project all thanks to you, and Guerra said and ready to send me on behalf of Endpoint. Oh, come on, I can't take all the credit. I can take some credit. I waved my hands, and after everything was built upon any based unwavering commitment, and it is a collective effort of you that everyone can really get the project out of there and help more. Guerra smiled as if he anticipated my reply and responded. Besides, I want to personally thank you. It was your insistence and sincerity that led me to the truth, and you showed me the real meaning of sincerity. And it was you who made me realize that what it feels like to have someone by your side in pursuit of your dreams. Guerra's sincere and firm words were profoundly moving, and his eyes sparkled like the starry night that we were gazing into. I was confident that Guerra's vision would shine just like the dazzling stars, and now under the sky I wonder if there's any more people standing beside him gazing at the stars. I'm gonna do now this other one that I had unlocked. Homebound ring. Then we had that. Beyond the window, the sky stretches gray, softened into a blurry trance by the steady drizzle. And on the glass walls of the Life Experience Museum, rain gathers into slender streams and sliding downwards like silent pages on an unread book, whispering an untold farewell. Gentle piano notes drift through the halls and airy and bright, and yet each one sinks into the weight of silence. It's no mournful dream, just a simple another tune about parting, like an ordinary summer rain and sunlit and clear. And when you say goodbye to a dear friend and make plans for next time but never meet again. One night I burn on my memories, and since then my dreams have turned translucent. And as the composition dissolves into diagnose, the ceremony draws quietly to its close. And leaning on the rain, I gaze down at the procession umbrella bearers moving steadily out of the hall. And the participants of the death simulation had just completed their personalized farewell rituals. And surprised, the ambience carrying no somber weight, but a lightness, a quiet ease, even a subtle joy. And someone looked around in thoughtful eyes, and others murmured with soft smiles, and while a few animated waves posed for familiar cameras. And as though this were not some funeral, but rather a commemorative team party. And as the procession still emerged a slender silhouette moving through the detached Langor. Roy. Clutching an ebony-handled umbrella, he isolated himself from the revelry. The umbrella tilted, bring channeling happy drizzle that dampened his silver strands. His solitary, almost chill presence seemed to ripple through the misty drizzle, and he tilted the umbrella onto his side and slowed his step as if waiting for something just outside. Roy, look here. And he pivots before the words fully dissipate and lifting his gaze to the cascading veil of the rain. And his eyes mirror the soft diluted light of the dark tranquil pool blurred by the mist of drizzle, serene and warm yet untouched by a faint, almost imperceptible sadness. Click. I raise my camera and freeze a moment in time. Artsy sister. And a flicker of surprise crosses his face and his limbs stiffen imperceptibly and I slash a few more frames just in time. After all, in this quiet instant, I alone bear witness to such intimate and fragile scene. The body donation commission and the living experience must gently launch a death simulation program, inviting registered body donors and volunteers interested in the subject to a special funeral of their own. And as a registered donor, Roy received an invitation. Given the program sensitive nature, we suggest volunteers bring accompanying family members. Roy places the invitation in my palm, and I immediately understand his intent, but remain silent, looking eyes with him in quiet question. Will you come with me? Me, but the specific family members, wouldn't my presence be improper? Dragging out the final syllable, I watch him with amusement. His brow knees as he struggles for words, and gaze never leaning mine. And biting back laughter, I clear my throat to reluctantly do him his favor. Yet he spoke first, voice firm. Come with me as his sister, as my chosen family. With the in-depth proceedings concluded, I joined the participants' family members at the cemetery, and the final ceremony involved listening to the epitaphs from the deceased, and with standing solemn stillness beneath the strange shadow pavilion, and a staff beside participants prepared words. Name tonate echoes to the mist, and each accompanied by a final message ranging by witty quips to soul question farewells. Rejoice no more, alarm clocks don't call me unless I am urgent, and let me sleep in peace. Seek me not, for I linger in the summer rains and autumns of winds walking beside you. Earth's online subscription expire no renewal. Scenery gorgeous but green, heavy pay to wind mechanics, newest be warned. While contemplating this diverse perspective of mortality, I await the name with great anticipation. What about Roy's epitaph? And yet when the ceremony concludes, Roy's name remains conspicuously absent from the roll calls of remembrance. I find Roy in a secluded corner of the cemetery, and with the umbrella he gazes silently at the grey stone, unscrutable stars veiled beneath their lower lashes. Quietly walking closer, I find the slabs empty as past bear no inscription. You left your epitaph blank. Yes. He tilts his head towards me, producing a tissue to dab a raindrop from my temple. Nothing felt necessary at your carving. How could you draw a blank on something so significant? If it were me, I'd need multiple tombstones too. He lets my impassive pieces dissipate in the mist before responding. Death is merely life's inevitable punctuation mark. I had no fear or longing for it, thus nothing worthy of commemoration. And as the distance softens, Roy folds his umbrella and steps under my shelter, taking possession of the handle. I'll walk you home. He escorts me home, just scarcely has he just finished preparing supper when our work calls summons him away. The rain intensifies the torrential cascade beyond my windshield pane that night. Darkness envelops the room as I burrow into a drowsy quilt, yet sleep remains elusive. Visions from daylight hours flow restlessly, rainfall and piano refrains and laughter and thoughts colluding in the echoes. Roy's silhouette looms clear as haunting every synaptic firing. Hours twist as I trash beneath the covers until a metal static gradually recedes. His ransom moments research, lingering at the possession still, observing others depart before slowly unfurling his umbrella. He's like a silent ferryman, steadily guiding each vessel to the faraway shore, just as he has done countless times in his work, perhaps having borne witness to so many final farewells. He grows calm, unshaken by the turbulent waves along his own path. Is that what, beyond his work, he carries such quiet detachment from everything else? Professional composure shields morality's weight, but the equanimity masks to secret tremors or true apathy. I have to do something. That letter I sent Roy an invitation under the guise of conducting an interview for an article, and one section focuses on humans' near-death experience, and I'm clueless about it. Mind if you collaborate an expert like yourself? After a pregnant pause, that's a weird pause, but whatever, Roy's voice filters through and tinged with skepticism. Near-death experiences. Exactly, you're free this weekend and require a full day access. I tried to sound casual as I sensed his hesitation and finally agreed. Right. The door shines precisely at our appointed hour. Roy stands framed at the doorway, hefty as a travel duffel, while planning a camping trip. I gesture at the overstuffed duffel bag. He averts his gaze and ears flashing faintly, and I get more curious. What's in there? It looks like you packed bricks. His response is muttered, elusive in phrase, and he tosses the bag inside and deliberately signals it's time to get down to business. Since you're so eager, I spread a blank flowchart across the table and uncap a pen. First question, is today where your final day? What would you want to do? That's what you mean by a near-death experience. Exactly, any better ideas? I said as if they were the most natural thing in the world. He looks disappointed at the increased awkwardness as if confronting shattered assumptions. Why do you look so let down? He shakes his head and lifts his pen and then sits back down. Wrap up work, spend the remaining time with you. My head stutters under his gaze, candid clarity. No bucket list beyond that. No, and what about you? Explore outdoors. My bucket list overflows, and we wander through our alma maters, retracting no footsteps. Casting the film with me at the cozy cinema downtown, stroll the beach at sunset, no sneaking off alone this time. Oh, and the zoo, and you're an animal lover. I toss out a bunch of ideas, but Roy listens quietly and calmly drafting two plans. Doing a buffer time, and let's set the record video epistles a final message for one message. And with everything ready, we stand poised to commence our final day simulation. And when his phone ill-timed shine shatters the illusion, and within seconds his brow furrows mid-call. Sorry. The police clicks shut and his face the phone clicks shut and his face darkens. Not just for the heavy news on the other end, but also because he has to break his promise to me again. Our day survives postponed. Smiling, I hold his mystery lighting duffel onto his shoulder. Now walk you to work. The crime scene was a luxurious dock at the harbor, and when neatly dressed and carrying his inspection kit, head straight to the room where the body was discovered. Meanwhile, I lingered on the deck, drawn into the conversation with Officer Donut. The victim is identified as Mr. Sand, the well-known tycoon, and Anna murmurs and voiced things with reverence. And raps to reach his saga and high school diploma, surviving too many corporate downfalls before building his empire. Never imagined he'll end up like this on his own yacht. Preliminary findings indicate advanced heart disease, with death presenting as cardiac arrest. But his widow insists it's homicide and demanded a full forensic suite. Even Langes end up as corpses under the sheet and can't take fortunes to the grave. Except if you're ancient Egyptians. They made it their bed. They took everything to the grave, even their pet cats. True, but his death is shaking the living. And from facial beat to the stock market quakes, that means nothing to him now. Death reduces all of us to clay while the living inherit the tremors. Donna shrugs, with exaggerated word weariness. Since when did you become a philosopher, Donna? And do you know the man? I bought this company stock not so long ago, and now I'm suffering from the losses. I see. I brainstorm my way to end the hour silence when Donna suddenly steers the conversation elsewhere. Hey, I gotta ask you something, and don't tell Roy. He came to me out of the blue with a weird question. How do you use handcuffs with no harm? And when I pressed him further, he just clamped up. Donna shoots me a baffled look. Handcuffs, non-harmful usage. I don't know, just give him a 50 Shades of Grey book, and then he'll get the gist of what else you can do with handcuffs in a non-harmful way. My mind flashes to that of a bulky travel bag duffel along with Roy's flushy ears and evasive gaze. Don't tell me he thought my DNF experience comment was referring to some kinky roleplay. Imagining that absurd, serious forensic examiner furrowing his brow to accommodate my supposed interest. I nearly lost my composure, biting back a laugh. And once this glorious eccentric coroner finishes whatever he's doing, I am grilling him for answers. I really had no idea what he's up to, and let me check it out when he's done working. And soon I find Roy along one side of the corridor, and he had just finished an examination, and his face still massive, and had bowed as he jotted down the observation. And I went quietly behind the police table until a moment flashes my peripheral vision. A masked man clutching a fruiting knife is creeping towards Roy from behind. Roy, watch out! There's no time to think, and my body lunges toward him an instant. And shouted by my shouts, the man abandoned stealth and lunges past Roy straight at me. Stay back, it's dangerous. And Roy was lightning fast and jacking me behind him while kicking the knife from the attacker's hand. In the cramped space where maneuvers to shield me while trying to subdue the man without causing injury, but the assailant has completely snapped, and his bloodshot eyes with wild rage, and he flails wildly and mumbling incoherent threats. Boom! And a thunder splash shackles the cabin, a blinding flash of lightning rips across the sky, and in the midst of the chaotic struggle we lose our footing, and I thrown violently overboard, and cold wind roars past my ears as the world speeds on slide down in a dizzying swirl of sky and sea, and I plunge into the endless abyss of blue. Icy sea water clutched at me, and bitter liquor flooded my nostrils, and instinctively I fight to break free, but swallow harsh gulps of water, and a fiery ache burns through my chest, and remember Roy's first aid lessons. I hold my breath and try to keep my limbs relaxed, but instead of surfacing, I keep sinking deeper and deeper in the dark. Maybe I should have worn a lighter dress so I don't drown. Weightlessness presses down on me, and an eerie silence swallows of sound, filling my ears with voice, and suddenly something clutches my ankle with deathly determination, dragging me downwards. The murderer! I wrestle with all of my strength against the force, and my power waning. Help! And fear grips me so tightly that no sound escapes my throat, and with agony pounding through my every fiber, I force my eyes open and pierce the murky water to find Roy close by, and he's slicing through the waves towards me, and eyes blazing with resolve I've never seen before, and his unwavering gaze somehow kindles a spark of courage within me, and I keep back with all of my strength, and the iron grip on my ankle suddenly releases, and yet in that instant a shadow lunges at Roy, the mad murderer. Hey, basic! I'll be having fun. Like a bloody sea beast clinging to life, he's bent on dragging his hunter down with him, and the merciful hunter now bears his fangs and sinking a deadly blow. And after a brutal struggle, the dark figure goes limp and slowly vanishing into the endless death, and my nimble protector, drain of strength, falters and loses his balance. Roy! And the silence screams tears to my soul, and survival instinct unleashed primal strength, and knowing no danger, I swing towards him. And the treacherous currents claws at me, and pushing and pulling desperately to bar my way, and my vision blurs and sliding away in each heartbeat, and in that moment my whole world narrows to just one point, Roy. And he's a solitary lighthouse shining through the drowning world, and the direction he moves is my only beacon, my only hope. And those few meters between us stretch into an unbearable, endless chasm between salvation and despair. Time has its soul when my fingertips finally graze the familiar words, and my lungs fill with anchoring scent. And the silver held strings against my cheek is his emerald eyes glowing like sunken treasure to the aqueous room. St. Heaven is still by my side, and Roy's arms wrap around my waist as we boil outwards to the liquid twilight, and we're alive. That alone is gift beyond words. But the next moment darkness swallows me as release loosens consciousness. Rescuer's hands eventually haul us onto the freaking deck boards, and a would-be murderer has claimed his own demise, drowned by exhaustion, made a fault. The two surfaces like bloated wreckage. The murderer is the youngest son of a wealthy businessman raised by his father. Lost of gambling debts and desperation, he begged his father for money, only to be met by harsh rebukes. Driven by fear, he poisoned his own father with a drug that triggered a fatal heart attack. Straining he didn't flee the scene, but instead hid in the secret compartment in the yard, and then came the witness finale, his fatal assault on the forensic investigator. And to Donna's care, we gradually regain our strength, and the once bustling dog has fallen silent again, as if the nightmare has never unfolded. We sit side by side on the yacht in the first clothes, watching twilight draws me on the sea into molten cover, and this girl the radiance condenses into amber mist, spoiling where our glasses intertwine. Honestly, today couldn't have been more perfect. And I lean close and teasing with a playful smile to lighten the heavy more lingering after what we just endured. See, you got your work done and we spent time together, and I even got my near-death experience. Such impeccable planning. My teasing smile finds no echo in his expression, and he grips my hands against the tempest of his heartbeat and beneath his steel damp fabric. And when his sea glass eyes finally meet mine, they hold unspoken death. What's wrong? Asked his sister. Without a word, he pushed me into a tender embrace. I was afraid of death at that moment. Well, like, there's a difference between being afraid of death and, the prospect, and then when you actually experience the act of drowning, of dying, then you get a whole new appreciation for death, because, whatever, moving along. The sea breeze carries the sunset lingering once as it swift passes. Roy remains silent and his face buried against my neck for what feels like an endless breath. I had always believed my existence had no weight in this world. I don't agree on that. The world slips out, cutting him off. I know you don't, and the moment you fall through those waves towards me, he loosens his grip to brush the hair clinging on my damp neck. At that moment I wondered what if it truly was our last second. There were so many things left unfinished between us, and that's when I felt desperate to live. Me too, and there's so much I want to do with you. I made Roy's eyes glimmering damp at the temples, shining with something urgent and real. This man who pushed through the icy water towards me, and no longer the forensic technician clinically documenting death, but a man fiercely clinging to hope and desperate to share another tomorrow with me. How fortunate we are to still be alive, and if anything, that is my epitaph. He gazes at me with uncharacteristic focus, calm eyes ripping with nuts and tenderness, and his unexpected response startled me, but his knowing smile dissolved my unspoken intention. You planned this outing because of what happened that day, didn't you? Guilty as charged. My epitaph commemorates endings, and who inscribes gratefulness for survival. Acknowledging mortality makes us treasure breathing. The sun dips lower, and yet constellations glimmer in his gaze, and I hold his gaze feeling a sudden flutter in my heart. Waves lap against the hull, and the dark shudders. His Brazilian flies to his abdomen, and crimson threads flowing between fingers, and a parapathis with his hand exposing a jab laceration beneath his gunfire. You're hurt, let me take you to the hospital. You have some scratches, the bleeding is flowing, and I got this. Roy grips my wrist, and his gaze locking onto the black duffel bag resting meters away. And I catch him in an instant and leap for the bag and setting it carefully on my lap. It says, our esteemed forensic expert is wonder, allow me to serve you for once. The bag is packed, no wonder, it's a professional medical kit, but wait, what is this? My fingers brush against an abnormal protrusion beneath the nylon shell. Curiosity overrules caution. Hold on. And Roy's belated realization collides with the zebra's final shriek, and standard medical equipment gleam alongside with companions, screen called foreign alloy rings. What is this? I plug one and fail a careful inspection, and then peer through the geometric aperture at his tightening jaw, and he lodges in a pivot and ring glitter between us like a captured moonlight. Ah, Dr. Roy, you sure know how to keep a few secrets hidden. This evidence sealed by Donna meant to be confiscated later, and Roy glances at me away from me, and she's dipping in a crease beneath the lingering afterglow. Oh, is that so? So we ended up using the cuff. I jaggle the handcuffs near his ear and biting by the laughter as his mirror his trademark clinical candid. Mr. Forensic Examiner, misappropriating evidence constitutes a felony. You're under arrest. and the metal teeth cleans shot around his wrist, satisfying finality, and he freezes eyes flickering to his restrained wrist and then back at me, and resigned smile tightening on his lips. Before I can savor my masterpiece, the cuffs clatter around through some forensic sleight of hand that again both wrists anchor, and he hands me the cuffs, and not forgetting to throw in some expertise. And instead I secure him properly, wrist crossed behind the safety rail. One free hand, I'll behave. And let me see, left, and then with a soft click I release his left wrist, and he lifts the nearly free gently and tucking a waist strand behind my ear with a liquid moonlight grace. My antiseptic so cotton pauses amid stab and colliding with his gaze, and the look is softening and reflecting my every motion in crystalline focus. Why has anyone ever told you what a terrible liar you are? And he says nothing but his face is calm and unbearable, but a vein of coral blooms beneath his earlobe. And the cut isn't deep and the bleeding has stopped, but the red marks on his pale skin still stands out sharply. And I work as steady as I can, hoping to ease his discomfort. And his abdominal muscles are well defined, though the pain makes them intense unnaturally. And tiny beads of sweat gather on his skin, tracing slow paths along his contour. You're sweating so much, does it hurt a lot? Or maybe where it should get you checked out of the hospital and stop fooling about. It's just the summer heat. His breath hovers a feather faint and yet impossibly close in a phantom current that lingers against my cheek. I force my gaze back on the one, but that warm breath inches closer, causing my heart to skip a beat. And the hot warmth lingering on my cheek is suddenly replaced by something cool and gentle and damp, and the touch stays only for a fleeting moment before retreating. And my heartbeat falters and thrown completely off balance. By the time I secure the final bandage, the has poured its molten gold into the sea of embrace, and then from the distance a sharp whoosh echoes in the brilliant light and surges onward. And against the night sky, a massive sunflower explodes into a cascade of shimmering sparks. So stunning, and who imagines such a beauty after such today's horror? A father's undelivered birthday surprise for his son, and Boy's voice comes beside me in shackles somehow discarded, and a wife revealed despite his unusual streetness, and her husband has secretly settled his son's death weeks prior, hoping to lead him back from darkness. So the killer murdered his father for no reason, because the dad in the end paid off his gambling debt. So he killed his dad for nothing. The fireworks were meant to mark the start of reconciliation between father and son, and afterward another blossoms of the color burst open in the sky, and then they tumble like falling rains, embedding the sea below in a fleeting brightness as a dazzling day. And yet neither the devoted father nor the lost son would ever see them again, and the brevity of life makes that fleeting brilliance sting all the more. Silence scares me, it dim with sadness and wonder. We're faced with this little calm and reserve as it quietly gathers our sins. And still the fire was carried on fierce and unrelenting, and we watched the grand display shoulder to shoulder, a silk and silent, binding us tighter than words. Midnight creased as his final fire was faced to a dying ember, and I turned to find his gaze holding mine. And though the celestial blaze has stopped, it is now kindled something deeper in our eyes. And perhaps the most important thing in our lives is to do things we want to do and to love the ones we love, while time still graces us with breath. And in this moment, all I want is this certainty that you are still here by my side. How lucky we are. And I take his hand, and as our fingers intertwine and our hearts sink in silent harmony, how fortunate we are to still be alive. Alright, how fortunate everyone watching this and everyone in the world that we're still alive. Alright, that's a good place to